Did you guys know about the Creature Crate Patreon? Every month you'll get amazing files that you can make, like this Donkey Kong, this dragon, this robot tech scarab, this Cerberus, or this super cool set of Bulbasaurs. You can also sell the prints from these files as an authorized seller. Join the Creature Crate Patreon now. Link is in the description below. Hey guys, what's up? Nico again here. And in this episode of 3D Printed Profits, I have with us Alaura. Alaura, where are you coming from?
Brew Productions.
Brew Productions. And where's Brew Productions based out of?
We are in Southern Alabama.
Alabama. Cool. So we're just going to talk to Alaura, as always, about her business and how she got into it and how it's going. All the links in the episode is going to be in the description below if you're on YouTube, and if you're on your favorite podcast player, it's going to be in the show notes. All right, make sure you guys check all of her links down there, as well as the 3D Printing Side Hustle group. Link for that is down in the bottom. So, Alaura, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
So let's get started here with what do you do and your background?
So I run Brew Productions. We are a 3D animation and video production business. And very recently, we have gotten into 3D printing.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So you guys have like a full design team on board then. That's
yes,
really
sir.
cool.
I'm actually a 3D artist. So that's kind of where I got my start. And then getting into 3D printing just seemed like the natural next step. We already had all the other 3D stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. So how'd you get into 3D printing?
So like a lot of people during the plagues, I had a little bit of time to I had a little bit of time to kill. So I did a lot of 3D printing research then. And eventually over the last, I guess it's been 2 years now, I gathered all of the research that I could and decided that I wanted to get into 3D printing. And then earlier this year, I felt that we were at a point where we could like really start selling 3D prints successfully. So back in April, we started selling at local events and online, and it's been pretty good business sense.
That's cool. So what is it that you guys sell as far as 3D printing goes?
So of course, we've got the option for people to approach us with like designs that they have in mind, or like custom little like cosplay stuff, or manufacturing things. But we do also have an online store where we have a bunch of designs ready to go that people can order. They can customize like the finish a little bit if they want. They can order them unpainted and unfinished if they want to do it themselves. A lot of those designs right now come from our friends at Props and Beyond. We've got a lot of D&D relative designs on there right now, but there are some of our own designs on there also.
That's pretty interesting. So do you guys sell like the minis? Do you guys sell the props?
We actually just put a bunch, it was like 50 some minis up on our website just last week.
Mm-hmm.
Again, from our friends at Props and Beyond, they did a miniature campaign. So we've got those, but then also interestingly, they do a lot of like jewelry. Ooh, hold on, here we are. Jewelry designs.
Gotcha.
So they have like rings and they have ear cuffs, just a bunch of really like interesting little bits and pieces that just kind of like helps immerse people in the D&D game, or just look really cool to wear in general.
Awesome. So basically you guys are kind of like a fantasy shop then, right?
Yeah, we have a tagline on our website that says that we want to leave the world a little bit weirder than we found it, and we
I
stand
love
by that.
Man, that's cool. That's a great tagline. Fantastic tagline. So how did you guys come up with that idea? Are you guys just a bunch of nerds that just play, and then you guys are like, you know what? I love this stuff. Screw it. If we love it, other people love it.
Absolutely. We are exclusively nerds. Nobody else is allowed, but also everybody's a nerd about something.
I think so. I think this is the second coming of the golden age of the nerd.
For sure. And then we also did a a very, very short film. It was for a film contest that was like a minute long. So we did a short film a couple years ago called Dungeons and Dysfunctions. That was exactly what it sounds like. But it was just this minute long little short that was poking fun at how difficult it is to get a D&D group together, and like some of the stuff that the DM especially has to go through to get a group together. And it was a lot of fun to shoot, and it, as it sounds like, is a comedy. So we are very about
Is that on
D&D.
YouTube?
It is on YouTube. It's on
All
our
right. We
YouTube
need to
channel.
link that. Okay. That's going to be in the description below. We need to link that. I want to watch this.
It's a lot of fun.
So, so let's dive into the business here. How did you guys get your first customers and first clients for the 3D printing business?
So we have some friends, Beyond the Mist, which is another link I can provide you. They are a local film production. So it's very like Arthurian legend kind of stuff. So it's a lot of like period wear. So whenever they heard that I was working on getting into 3D printing, they're like, oh, awesome. We have some weird props that we need that we cannot find anywhere and we don't know how to make. So like a lot of our testing was done with them with some of the designs that they want. And I'm still working on designs for them all the time. And then more recently, in April, actually, the beginning of April, we decided that we were going to sell at a local Comic-Con. It's something that we go to every year and we talk about what Brew is every year, but this was the first year that we decided to actually sell at it. And we found very quickly that we absolutely do have a market for some of the weird stuff that we sell in our area. So just a lot of people from that con, and then follow-up events from that, is we've made a lot of business just from being at those events. And then
So just locally, there was a ton of
Yeah.
money already, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. That's very impressive for you guys to just say, hey, let's start here and then we'll branch out later. So what happened next, right? So you guys started making this weird stuff, right, for this local film company. You go to your local con. What happened next? I mean, you guys started making more money, right?
Mhm.
And then you guys took that. Did you guys buy more machines?
Yeah. Actually, I just got my second resin printer month. I guess maybe it's been 2 months now. It's been a minute. But yeah, whenever we were, I had an FDM printer at the time. So it was running like the plastic spools, and you could get good prints that are like larger. You can get some interesting stuff with that. But we found that with our finer detail prints, it just wasn't cutting it. So I finally broke down and got a really small resin printer. And that thing was running nonstop for like a month and a half, printing all of these like little ear cuffs and stuff like that for this first con. And then I painted and finished everything. And we sold these things, and people were looking at these going like, these are incredible. They look like real metal. I've got a set of one of our cuffs right here.
Okay, if you guys are on the road and you're listening to this on the podcast, just wait till you get back to the shop or wherever you're going. Don't pull up YouTube.
For sure.
Don't do that. Bad.
They're cool, but you can always find them on our website. Be smart, be safe.
There you go.
But we've got a bunch of these
those things.
ear cuffs.
Is that a
So
dragon
they just sit
ear
on.
cuff?
Yeah, it is. We don't play.
I know you don't. That's a good looking one too.
So the thing about the materials that we're using, we're trying to make everything look as good as possible so that people can actually like wear these around and be like, oh yeah, I look fantastic.
Yeah.
So people were looking at these and going like the detail's incredible, the quality's incredible. They are super lightweight, but like they feel like they would stand up to a lot. And I definitely did drop test a couple of them totally on purpose.
I
They made
mean,
it.
right. So how much is the business making from these amazing sculptures?
So it's kind of a rough estimate right now because like I said, we've only been selling 3D prints since April. So that's only about 3 months. But an average from those months, it's around 1,000 a month.
Gotcha. Um, so let's see. So after you guys started making, did you guys buy more printers then, or?
So actually, it was after the next con that we did. So we started in April with that first small con. We made a pretty solid amount. I actually made enough to cover the resin printer that I got, which was huge.
Mhm.
Um, and then we decided kind of on a whim that we were going to go and do a slightly larger, still local con. That first one was only a 1 day thing. The second one lasted 3 days and had a lot more traffic. And after that, like we sold so many of our products that we had. We got a bunch of commissions for it, a bunch of custom orders, printer. So at this point, we don't have the FDM printer anymore. Like it was not, it was great. It was awesome. But it just wasn't quite working for what we needed.
Gotcha. So you guys
Um,
aren't using the FDM for the props for the movie company anymore.
no, like it was great. Like the concept of an FDM printer is fantastic. The range of materials that you can get is incredible. But for the really tiny little detailed stuff that we're working with, it just wasn't quite cutting
Of
it.
course, I agree. I think you have to pick the right machine for the right product.
Absolutely.
And if you're printing those, really nice, small, intricate pieces, there's no way you would go with FDM. There's just no
For
way.
sure. Um,
Um,
but yeah, so we got a bigger printer just recently, and I have printed, like, I don't have it anymore because it's been shipped off, but it was this full-sized mask that somebody ordered that was a deer skull.
mm,
So like it came out and it had like the giant antlers and everything. It was this
Jeez.
fantastic
And
piece.
and what machine are you using for this?
So the larger one is an Anycubic Photon Max. And then the smaller one, the first resin printer I got was an Elegoo Mars 3 Pro. A
Elegoo
lot of,
makes the best machines. I'm surprised you didn't get the
fantastic.
Elegoo Jupiter.
I really thought about it. Um, it's in pre-order right now, so that was an issue. Or at least whenever I was looking, it was in pre-order. And then actually the Anycubic was a little bit bigger. It gave you kind of marginal numbers at that point, but it was like a little bit bigger of a build volume.
Gotcha. Um, so how many machines are you at to now?
Just the two right now,
Well, I
because
mean,
we
you
don't
don't
have the
really need a
FDM printer
lot, right?
anymore.
Because you're printing something
Yeah,
so small and it's such a big machine. You don't need 5 or 6 machines to produce the capacity that you guys are producing.
exactly.
I mean, when you guys do
Yeah,
though,
we've
you're going to need more machines to increase capacity to meet
for
that
sure.
demand.
Yeah, and we are definitely doing what we can to continue to scale the business because it definitely is what we've got is definitely working for our area.
I agree. So what struggles did you have when you first started?
The biggest thing for me at first was just figuring out what do we print because whenever you're a 3D artist and you can make whatever you want in 3D space and then you're given a 3D printer, you can make anything.
Right.
So it really was just like, what are we gonna offer people? We could give them anything. Um, so it was just kind of trying to like we knew we were going to a con. We knew there were gonna be nerds there. Um, this is local to us, so we know the area, we know the people. So we just had to kind of assess like what pop culture things are popular here specifically. And a little bit of that was some guesswork. Like we did some Witcher medallions and almost nobody bought any because I guess like we thought, right? I guess Witcher isn't actually that big here, which is wild.
Ah, I see what you did there. Like his Wild Hunt, which your Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
Ah, I see what you did there, you nerd.
Yeah.
Um,
This is
so
a Doctor Who background. We are nerds.
I see, I see. So how else does the business make money aside from the 3D prints? So you sell STL files, right?
We actually don't sell STLs yet. So a lot of what we have on our online store right now is, like I mentioned, from Props and Beyond. So we have a merchant's license to sell the print files, but we would not be
Of
selling the
course.
STLs for that.
Right.
As we work on designs that we've got in in the process, we would look at selling STLs for those. That's not something that we quite have done yet, because I'm still working on some of those designs. But we do have a bunch of requests actually from these cons that people are like, I want to see like this kind of ear cuff and I want to see this kind of ring. So we're working on designs right now. And as we get those up, we would definitely look at selling those STLs too.
Awesome. Um, so you mentioned that you're yourself a 3D artist and a designer. What software are you using?
So I was actually trained and got my degree with like, Softimage, which doesn't even really exist anymore, and 3ds Max and Maya and ZBrush. But now mostly I use ZBrush still. Love it. You'll pry that from my cold dead hands. Um, but I also mostly use Blender now, which a lot of people in the actual 3D field kind of look down on, which is weird.
I know they're like
Um,
peasants.
yeah, for it's free
It's free. It's
for
incredibly
one.
powerful. It's like you put Maya and ZBrush and had a baby. It's Blender.
There are features in Blender that none of the other paid softwares have, and they're incredibly useful features.
I
But
agree.
then it's also just like such an incredible like Swiss Army knife of a program. Like it's fantastic, and
I'm a
it's
Blender whore,
constantly
so I get
getting
it.
better. It's great. It's great stuff.
I
But we use Blender and ZBrush.
I mean, how do you go from modeling to sculpting in a tab? You know what I mean? It's
That's I'm working on learning sculpting and Blender, and the similarities between Blender and ZBrush, like it's incredibly obvious that whoever revamped that system for the 3.0 launch, they were definitely working in ZBrush and Mudbox to see like what can we do to make this more like standard,
I
and they
agree
did
because
it. It's
the UI
amazing.
in Blender is you look at it and you're like, oh Jesus. Like I remember when I first picked up Blender, I said, nope, I turned it off. I said, I can't look at this.
Me too.
It was so overwhelming.
It was.
But if you ignore like 90% of what's on the screen, you're like, oh, this is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
90% of the screen, you guys, honestly, you're gonna ignore 90% of it.
Yeah.
And I only use about 10% of my screen. And Blender is so incredibly powerful. I haven't even fully like mapped.
It's
It's so crazy.
you can do 2D animation and 3D animation in Blender, and you can go back and forth, and it's seamless. I don't really use that functionality because I'm terrible at 2D now, but it's incredible that that's option is there.
I agree. So that was your quick Blender commercial. Back to our regularly scheduled program. So, so what profit margin are you guys targeting for the ear cuffs and the earrings and the jewelry?
Well, I mean, we started, so whenever you do a 3D print on the scale that we are doing, the amount of material that you're using is not a lot. It's, $1 or so.
If that,
Of course, you have to factor, yeah. Of course, you have to factor in like the machine use, the wear and tear on the machine, upkeep on the machine, your time working on the machine and working on the finished product, but the actual material cost is very, very small. The first con that we went to, we sold a pair of those dragon ear cuffs for, I think, $10. And we kept having people come over to our table and say, these are only $10.
I
That's it.
wasn't gonna say anything. I was like, $10. We're gonna talk
Yeah.
after the show.
Yeah. No, and it really was just us going into it like, I don't know how much somebody's gonna pay for this. Like, we tried to do market research. Before Flawless Recovery, before we did the con, but obviously we didn't do enough because people were coming up to us and saying only $10.
Yeah. Please tell
But
me you increased price. Please.
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good girl. Good for you.
So at the next event, we sold those for $25. And we were like, that seems like such an insane markup. So then we set up a QR code that directed people to our social media. And we were like, hey, we'll give you 30% off of your sale if you like and follow our Facebook page and stuff. To be like, we increase prices, but we're also like super chill because we'll give you a discount. And people were buying stuff and saying like, this is incredible. This is only $25. I don't want that discount. I want to pay full price because obviously you guys put a lot of
Where are
time
those
and work and
customers?
effort
Didn't I
into
have those
this.
customers?
Right? It was incredible. I did not think for a second that anybody was going to look at that sale and be like, no thanks. I want to pay full price.
Dang.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and pay
Sure.
retail, whatever. That's
Right?
insane.
It was
So what
incredible.
else is working in terms of marketing for you guys? What's bringing in the cash register?
So just outside of 3D printing altogether, we do video work, we do animation work. There was a gentleman who does comics, which I can't get into specifics, but there was somebody who does comics at one of these cons that approached us about doing an animation for one of his comics. It would be a relatively short one. We would be looking at like 5-10 minutes of actual video, but there were a couple people who approached us at these cons that were like, hey, I want a video done. I'm looking for like some good clean audio recorded for me. Let's get this thing animated. Can you do concept art? Which I do have a concept artist, so yes. But really just we've got a lot of services, but whenever we go to events, it seems like the 3D printing is really the thing that is getting
It's
people
at the forefront. So basically, the events are what's bringing in all the marketing for you guys for the 3D printing.
Right now. The events are huge. And we've got a couple more towards the end of the year. There's nothing really in the area right now in the middle of the year, but we've got a couple towards the end of the year that we're preparing for. But yeah, I'm working on pushing advertising in general for the online store, but we're pretty new with that online store.
So is it a website or is it an Etsy shop?
It's a website. Yeah,
Okay.
I really didn't want to mess with Etsy too much because like they're great, but they also take a lot of fees
Yeah, they
from
take your
the people who sell
firstborn.
on there.
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
that's
So
it's
I
pretty
just
high.
I just didn't it didn't feel good reading through all of their terms of services and their fees and stuff. And I was like, I'll make my own website. Thank
I'm
you.
pretty sure it's witchcraft that's written in there. Like if you say it out loud, like a demon's gonna pop
Yeah.
up. So what's next for Brew Productions? What's the future for you guys?
Well, we're going to continue going to these local events. We're very, very about local businesses, small businesses. Um, One of the big things for me was like providing good quality video options and animation options to smaller businesses that might not necessarily have access to all of that stuff, because it can definitely get really expensive really fast. So I kind of want to keep a lot of what we do local, the events that we do local. We are partnered with the Beyond the Mist project to do the effects for their web series. And then we're also, working on that short comic animation. And then we've also got our own animated project that we are slowly working on. A lot of the actual profit that doesn't go back into the 3D printing materials and stuff. A lot of the profit that we've been making is kind of being tucked away as funding for that project that we're working on, and we're in early pre-production for that, but we're working on it.
Cool, man. Sounds good. So that's it for me. So let's wrap this up with your number one tip for anyone who wants to start their own 3D printing business.
I think the biggest thing for us was going to that first event. I think that we were probably in a very, very good position because this event was very small. There wasn't incredibly a vendor fee. So going into it, we hadn't really sunk any money into like actually being there. It was all just the cost for printing the items that we were going to sell. So it could have been more expensive, and I think we got really lucky that it wasn't. But just going to that first con, doing the market research that we got from doing that first con, because we found out all of our stuff is grossly underpriced. We got a idea of what people in the area are really looking for, which was shockingly not Witcher medallions, and just kind of adjusting things from there to figure out what people are looking for, what people are interested in, what prices people are actually like going to pay for this. Because apparently we can still up the prices because people were still telling us that $25 was too little for these ear cuffs, which is incredible.
We're going to take the ear cuffs to the next level. We're going to do that in the bonus content here.
But yes, if there is some local Comic-Con or craft event or something that is going on in your area, I would go to that, if not as a customer, just to kind of get a feel for what's going on. Then as a vendor, if it's going to be low stakes for you, and see what you can sell and what works and what doesn't, and what prices work and what doesn't.
There you go. You guys, events are where it's at. I know Terry from, I think he's episode 29, if I'm not mistaken. He went to pop-up events and he makes $2,500 a month, right? So you guys, incredible. One of my students, Justin, he went to a local con, I think this past weekend, and he made $700 in a day. One day, right? And that's profit. So you guys, what Alaura is saying is that go to events, they work. So really that is it for Alaura. And I told you guys to stay to the very, very end, and I'm going to give you your own product idea for your own 3D printing business. And my product idea for today is going to be light fixtures. Now, hold on one second. All right. So here's the story behind that. I was going through Disneyland and I was in Star Wars land, and I saw the light fixtures while they were there. And you know how Disney is very high on detail. The lights look like they were actually from, wherever they were. So maybe what you guys can do is you can 3D print these cases, right? The fixtures of just the covers for the lights. And then you can theme your room or your child's room, or we're all adults here, your room. And you can make it Star Wars themed or Avengers themed or fantasy themed. You guys can really honestly make anything you want, especially if you know how to design. And that's why the design part is offered in the coaching program if you guys join it. So again, congratulations to you guys. That's great money for you. I really hope you guys grow, and we're going to talk some more so in the bonus content after this episode, where I have some ideas for your ear cups that's going to increase that significantly. So Brew Productions, Alaura, thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll catch you in about a year. We'll check up on you.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. Peace out. All right. So for those ear cuffs, all right, you can have some inset stuff in there, and you can go on Amazon and you can buy gemstones and attach them in there. That significantly increases the value of those. Have you done it already?
We haven't. We were discussing it. So are you going to be in focus here? Probably not. So this down here is the tail of the dragon. We were thinking of taking kind of this area and just basically putting like a jump ring in there and attaching. I specifically was thinking of like a teardrop shaped gem, just because it feels like it would work really well with the general shape. So like that was something we were looking at. I
just putting like a ruby in his eye.
Yeah,
just shit like that. That increases really the value of that thing. You talk about $25, that goes up to 50 just with that.
For sure. Yeah, we've got some areas. We've got some design thoughts for this little guy. But yeah, we definitely have been discussing the possibility of doing that.
Just some additional stuff like that. That'll just take it from here and skyrocket it to there, which just significantly increases value. And if you can get real rubies, girl. Good for you guys, man.
I know a guy.
You know? That's it for bonus content. These guys are getting too much from me. I'll catch you guys later.